Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another installment of California Saltwater Fishing here on the Ranger 85 on their 2-day charter that was sponsored by Western Outdoor News. There's me with my 9-pound red vermilion rockfish, beautiful beast. And here we are with the Ranger 85 coming out of Cisco Harbor, and the folks lining up ready to get on board. We headed out towards the Channel Islands, which are just south of Santa Barbara, if you aren't necessarily familiar with them. We headed specifically first towards Santa Cruz Island, which is on the right, and then later San Miguel Island, which is on the left. And that circle area above there is the Santa Rosa Flats, which we will discuss a little bit later on. We woke up the first morning off of Christie's Beach on the western end of Santa Cruz Island, where we were making squid and hanging out, seeing if we could hook into some interesting game fish. They had actually ran into a couple of yellowtail previously, so we were trying to see what we could do. It was a beautiful morning, as you could see, nice and calm weather, very little bit in terms of seas, and we're just hanging out trying to see if we can get bit. And then finally one angler's rod did bend over, and everybody thought, oh man, here we go, we got an actual fish on the line. And then as it comes up and we get color, we start to notice, oh, it's a soup fin shark. So it was an interesting moment nonetheless. I had to break it off and let the beast go free. But it was interesting to see that morning, and kind of got the blood going and got us ready to head off on our way to interesting things. After breaking that one off, we headed towards the outer parts of San Miguel Island, seeing if we could find some rockfish and other good stuff out there. You can see it's a beautiful day, very little swell, very little wind. As we were heading out, we ran into a bunch of whales as well as some sea lions with their pups out in the water, which was pretty cool to see. And as you can see there in the water, the sea lions are starting to kind of break the surface. At first it looked like a bunch of dolphins, but it actually ended up being some sea lions and their pups. And every once in a while here you can see a whale break, mostly over on the right side. You'll look for some spouts starting to come up. So it was a beautiful morning out there, beautiful wildlife in the Channel Islands. If you've never been, I highly recommend getting out there and checking it out. It's unlike any place you'll ever see. I've never seen sea lions in this sort of grouping before. That's why I thought it was dolphins originally. And it seems like they're working with the whales together to maybe get some krill and other things, as well as it seemed like the dolphins had some of their calves with them too. So it may have just been a situation where they're all just kind of looking out for each other's kids at the playground and also getting a good meal in as well. So it was a beautiful sight to see, and that's one of the wonders of these trips and these types of things that you can't take for granted. You've got to really try and enjoy the trip while you're taking it. Also, as we were heading out, we ran into this pod of dolphins or porpoises. I'm not sure which one, but they were giving a pretty good show as well too. You can see a couple of them jump in, and then the later part here you'll see them swimming up alongside the boat. So that got me off my perch on the bow and got me over there and filming. Beautiful bow on this boat, by the way. It's a nice wide open area, and that's actually where I ended up doing most of my fishing. One mistake a lot of folks seem to be making, especially early on, was everybody was trying to fish off of the stern. Everybody was grouped up together, and when you've got multiple hooks, 2 hooks per gannion going down, you're gonna start getting some tangles and some people snared up. So luckily off of the bow we avoided that. One thing the captain did reiterate is that it's the Ranger 85, not Ranger 22. That means you have 85 feet to run along. So we made the most of the bow, and as you can see, it's a nice beautiful vessel up there. And once we did get a ways away from San Miguel Island, the captain found us some nice rocky spots to drop on, and we were pretty much hooking into fish immediately. I immediately began to feel the tug. And as you can see there, I've got a pretty heavy rig in terms of what I was working with, but I've always found it best to throw the rope down to these folks. So I had 50-pound Dacron on a Squall 50 wide, a 2-speed reel of all things, and a nice stout 120-pound trolling rod. So I wasn't going anywhere, and it made pulling up from these great depths very easy. There you can see a boccaccio that I just caught with the Berkeley grub tail 6-inch pink shine model. It was actually one of the best performing things that I had. I blew through the whole bag, and I can't recommend that one enough. There'll be a link in the description that you can go and check out more information about that in particular. A couple of more red rockfish coming over the rail before we headed towards San Miguel Island and got a little bit closer in and did some whitefish fishing. Didn't get much video of that, but here you can see a couple examples of the whitefish that we were catching. It was pretty much that sort of quality and better, and I got 8 of those in my bag, so it was a good way to wrap up the day. And here you can see a couple of guys that happened to catch a couple of rockfish along the way off of San Miguel before we made our trip back over to Santa Cruz Island, and went there for the evening to anchor up, as well as to pick up some squid from one of the squid boats. You can see there the deckhands hard at work filleting the fish, and then as they ran into the squid boat over there, they were actually able to pick up some squid for bait, so that way we had live squid to use for the next day without having to wake up too early in the morning and make squid again. So it was a pretty cool sight to see, and these deckhands worked their asses off. They were the best that I've seen, so made sure that they got a good tip. And as you can see, it's a day and night thing for these guys, so make sure that you tip your deckhands well and take care of those guys that are working hard for that money. And as you can see, with limits of rockfish and whitefish around the boat, they had a long night ahead of them. So thanks so much, guys, for all the hard work that you do. The second morning started kind of all of a sudden. I woke up a little bit late to find one of the deckhands, Ricky over here, had actually caught a couple barracuda, so I threw on a jig and helped him out and pulled a few up and took some home myself, so that was kind of interesting. And then from there we decided to head out and try some of the local game fish, but nothing was biting, nothing was happening in that regard. So after a few minutes of sitting with no current and no wind, we decided to move on out to the Santa Rosa Flats and try our luck with some of the rockfish out there, hopefully doing even better than we did the day before, which was pretty awesome, but we were all up for the challenge. Once we got to the fishing grounds, we were pretty much immediately hitting into the fish. It was pretty much as soon as you got to the bottom, something was hitting the rod. These were some hungry fish way down deep. I think the first drops were somewhere in the upper 300 range, and then we got more drops into the 400 and up to close to about 500, but I don't think that we went much further than that. As you can see, it was pretty good quality all around. Here's one of those nice vermilion reds that came up, and as you can see in the bag, that there's already quite a few in there. It was pretty easy going as long as you got to the bottom and were willing to do the work. That's why I found having that heavier pole with the rail plate made all the difference, because I could just lean that up on the rail and let the boat do most of the work. I saw some guys getting really exhausted holding their poles all day like that, trying to pull up from way down deep, and it's just a nightmare. But here we did pretty well on the bow with some larger reds as well as some other assorted reds. It was pretty good fishing up there, nice and easy, a nice big bow, nice lot of room to work with. Herb was up on the bow with us too, this fella here who just pulled up a cow cod. There were quite a few cow cod that came up, as well as a yellow eye or two, and of course we had to send all those back down to where we found them and let them all go. But there was plenty of good red rock fishing going on, plenty of good action to be had all around the boat, so there was not too many complaints when we had to do the right thing and send back some of those protected species. And one fish that was not protected, however, was this one that just came up and over the rail for me. A nice red that was actually caught on a bit of squid just above a grub tail that I had on there. I ran out of the pink shine grub tails and had to switch to the Cajun chicken grub tails, which did okay, but not quite as good. I guess maybe the darker coloring wasn't to their liking. But it was one of those things where you just, had to try out different types and see what was working. Luckily, the pink shine that I tried first worked the best, but good old-fashioned squid bits work plenty well too. So that's why it's good to have a variety on your Ganyan so that you can offer them a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Frankly, the live squid did okay, but I don't think it did that much better than what I was seeing on the Berkeley grub tails or on just even the bits of squid. The fish were just that hungry. I saw guys even tying directly onto their Dacron without even using a monofilament leader. So that just shows you the veracity of the fish we were dealing with. And here's a couple of fellas who brought up some nice lingcod. These were actually caught on flatfall jigs. And here's Kenny with his $100 hook certificate that he won for bringing up the biggest lingcod, which he actually caught on a live sardine of all things. And here's one of these lingcod coming over the rail. Only 3 lingcod, so not a lot of activity in that regard. But there were plenty of high quality rockfish to be had. As you can see, these bulging sacks full of them ready to go home, and a couple more on display there. So as you can see, good high quality fish all around. And there is Ronnie the cook, as well as Bob from Western Outdoor News, showing some of their catch. Good folks. It was great fishing with them indeed, as well as everybody else on the trip. So everyone went home with fish and smiles and plenty of good times to talk about. And here we have the deckhands hard at work. And as I mentioned earlier, I can't say enough good things about this boat and this crew. These guys took a, really good care of us. They took a lot of pride in the work that they were doing. So it was definitely a trip that was good in all areas. The food was great. The crew was great. So we just had an awesome time in general. And these guys really worked, their tails off, making sure that we were taken care of. And as you can see, slicing through the fish like it was nothing. So made the trip great. And as we headed home, it was a nice and easy sail for us getting back into Channel Islands Harbor and wrapping it up. And I could have done another 2 days, to tell you the truth. It was just that much fun. So an awesome time, awesome trip. Looking forward to fishing with these guys again. In the summertime, they go down to San Diego and they fish out of there. So I'm actually looking at doing a trip with them on July 15th of 2022. So if you'd like to join me, by all means, there's still about 20-something spots available. But even although it's already out in the future, there's already plenty of spots already sold. So you never know. It's a Seeker Rods sponsored trip, so who knows what sort of goodies could be available with that. So those are always fun trips to be a part of, and I'd love to see what these guys can do with the big bluefin. So as we head into port, just wanted to thank you guys for checking out this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and share with your friends who might be interested. And until then, best of luck, and looking forward to seeing you all out on the water.